Welcome to the second lecture on Introduction to Semiconductor. This is a part of module 1. We have not yet started with diode. We are still working on what exactly is a semiconductor before we get on to diode. What we have discussed till now is conduction band and valence band, and we know that there are three types of materials. The three types of materials that we have already discussed are, we have something known as a conductor. The next thing that we have is an insulator, and the most important thing that we have, or the most important material that we are going to work on, is a semiconductor. Now in semiconductors, what we learned is, if I have a valence band and I have a conduction band at room temperature, the space between this is somewhere between 1 electron volt, and electrons will not move from the valence band directly to the conduction band. This is how much we have completed. Now, if you remember, the one thing that I asked you all to know in the periodic table were elements that belong to group 4. Amongst those elements, the two elements that I asked you to specifically remember were silicon and germanium. What you're seeing on this slide is a silicon atom. Now, if you look at this atom and you remember very little of chemistry, you can see that what you have here is a silicon atom. You have 2 electrons in the first orbit, you've got 8 electrons in the next orbit, and the last 4 electrons in the third orbit. That is, the atomic number of silicon is 14. So it is 2 plus 8 plus 4. If the silicon atom has to be stable, it will need 8 electrons in the outermost orbit. For it to get 8 electrons in the outermost orbit, if you remember the type of bonds that you studied in chemistry, there were two types of bonds that you studied. One type of bond was the ionic bond, and the second type of bond was a covalent bond. What I have shown you here on this slide is a covalent bond, that is, 4 valence electrons of each silicon atom will combine with the electrons of other silicon atoms so as to form a proper stable atom, and in its outermost orbit it will have 8 electrons. Now to further understand this, now I have the centermost silicon atom that is there is stable right now because it has 8 electrons. But till an electron is not free, it is not going to give me any current. So how exactly are you going to get current of an atom that is like this? The atom that you are seeing right now is known as an intrinsic semiconductor. This word intrinsic basically means that there are no impurities. This is a semiconductor that is pure. You haven't added anything externally, so it is an intrinsic semiconductor. To understand this, what we are going to do is, we are going to take the example of a classroom which is circular in nature. Now what I have shown you over here is a classroom that is circular in nature. What we are going to do is, the centermost place is where the teacher is going to stand. So this is the silicon that you have already seen. The first circle that is there around it, which has got 2 electrons in it, this is going to be the first bench students. The next circle that is there around it, you can take a moment to remember how many electrons are there in this. We have got a total of 8 electrons in this. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. 2 plus 8 is 10. The next circle that you have, that is the last benchers of this classroom, they have a total of 4 students over here. So I have got 4 electrons. Now similarly, I can draw n number of silicon atoms to create one complete system over here. But what exactly is happening is, at room temperature, all of these electrons are going to remain wherever they are right now. But what is going to happen as the temperature increases? An analogy for this increase in temperature would be, the centermost person who's standing here is the teacher. Let's say this teacher is not strict at all. What is going to happen? You can complete your assignments in class, you can sit and talk, you can listen to music, you can chat on WhatsApp. Nobody is going to leave the class. But as temperature increases, as this teacher becomes strict, what happens is, students are now not interested because the teacher is strict and I cannot do what I want to do in the class. This teacher will have maximum control on this first bench students and minimum control on the last bench students. So who would be the ones that are going to leave first? Say this is a classroom that is so nicely designed that you have the doors towards the end of the class. So the first people to leave this class would be the students who are sitting on the last bench. Now, as soon as these students leave, what is going to remain behind over here? As soon as the student has left, what remains behind is an empty bench. Now, for all our lectures, this empty bench will be a hole. And the student who has left and gone outside will be an electron. So as soon as an electron leaves and goes outside, what it is right now is a free electron. So what you have understood till now is at normal room temperature, the silicon atom does not have any free electrons. But as this temperature increases, free electrons are generated. There is a limit up to which this temperature can be increased, and there is definitely a limit up to which I can get free electrons. So the current that I am going to get right now is very, very small. But what we've understood till now is as temperature increases, I'm going to get some amount of current. And this term is known as thermal agitation. That is, when I increase the temperature, the number of free electrons increases. This is what happens in an intrinsic semiconductor. But the number of free electrons that I am getting right now is not enough to give me the current that I need for various devices that I am going to use. So what you do exactly is you use something known as extrinsic semiconductor. Now what we are doing in extrinsic semiconductor, as I said earlier, we have two types of semiconductors. I can have either intrinsic or extrinsic semiconductor. Intrinsic semiconductors are pure semiconductors. So since extrinsic is supposed to be opposite, it is definitely an impure semiconductor. Now when I'm adding an impurity to the semiconductor, this can either be from group 3 or it can be from group 5. What you are seeing on your screen right now is a silicon crystal. And when I get all the silicon crystals together, this is what it looks like. When temperature increases, say this one electron becomes free and comes out. So this one electron would be here somewhere, it would leave a hole behind. Okay. Now what is going to happen when I add impurity? This impurity that I have taken is from the group 5. If you remember, I asked you to keep in mind something known as antimony. So I have taken antimony. Since it's a group 5 element, it has 5 valence electrons. So this one electron is already a free electron. Okay. Now imagine that you have a teacher in class who we say is neither strict nor lenient. She's just there in class. But this is your class right now. You've got a teacher in class teaching something, and now you see one of your friend from some other division outside. Okay. This free electron has nothing to do with the students who are sitting over here, but then it's free. So this electron is giving you a reason to come out. And now when you go out, what you leave behind is a hole. Okay. Now it's possible that this teacher is really strict. So this student has come out, but maybe they saw principal ma'am in the corridor and they don't know what to do. What will they do? They'll go to any class where there is place available. So they went and sat there. Again, this student has come out. Now he's gone and he's sitting here. So what is happening is electrons are moving from one place to the other. What happens because of this is I start getting current. Now this type of extrinsic semiconductor is known as a N-type semiconductor. Why is this known as a N-type semiconductor? Because as soon as I add antimony, the number of valence electrons are 5. So I have one extra electron, one more than that was needed, and the charge on an electron is negative. Since the charge on an electron is negative and I have one extra electron, therefore this is known as a N-type semiconductor. So you can pause the video here and try to think about what will be a P-type semiconductor. I had asked you all to remember 3 groups, group 4, group 5 and group 3. I have already used group 5, so definitely for a P-type semiconductor, what we will be using is a group 3. Group 3 elements have 3 electrons in the outermost orbit. As soon as you introduce this element boron here, what happens is there is a hole that is already available. Okay. Now, since this is a hole, When is a hole created? A hole is nothing but an empty bench, and an empty bench is created when an electron leaves. That means I have one less electron. So I have one less negative charge. If I have one less negative charge, that means I have a positive charge. So what you have over here is a p-type semiconductor. So for now what we need to remember is, if I have a n-type semiconductor, the majority carriers in an n-type semiconductor are electrons. The minority carriers in an n-type semiconductor are holes. Electrons will be denoted by E minus and holes will be denoted as H plus. And when I have a p-type semiconductor, the majority carriers in a p-type semiconductor are holes and the minority carriers in a p-type semiconductor are electrons. And in your syllabus, the first device that you are going to study is a diode. So just as an introduction to diode, diodes are made by getting a p-type semiconductor and an n-type semiconductor together so as to create a PN junction diode, which is the first diode that you will be studying, which we will be covering in the next session that we take.